Welcome to the Oracle at Mushin Tarot Cast, an added bonus to the Spiritual Phoenix podcast. I'm Ross Cessna, the Oracle at Mushin, and I'll be offering weekly open readings for the collective consciousness. To see the cards, visit the Spiritual Phoenix Studios YouTube channel. I've put a link in the description. We are fan-funded, and you can contribute with the link in the show notes. Other ways to show your support include subscribing to our YouTube channel, leaving us excellent reviews wherever possible, engaging in our content on social media, shooting me an email, and sending an audio message through the Anchor app. This is a community podcast. I'm just the humble host. Let's start the show. What is up, everybody? It is the Oracle at Mushin here with a weekly tarot card reading for you. And I also have the card of the month in here, which is Seven of Arrows, Insecurity. And I got this card of the month from a reading that I did at the beginning of the year. And for me, I'm coming into March with a lot of insecurity. So the green of the card is relative to the heart chakra, and arrows are relative to swords in traditional tarot. Swords are relative to the mind. So this is kind of like our mind is damaging our heart and our ability to move forward. Sevens themselves are about faith. So this is kind of showing a lack of faith. I've heard it said before, worry is a prayer for something that you don't want. And by practicing worry, we are essentially practicing a lack of faith. So if we have beliefs in a higher power or something, this is the time to turn it over. And it's a really uncomfortable process. Just to kind of be honest with where I'm at, last night, I'm recording this on March 1st. It'll be released on March 4th. So February 28th, I kind of really ended the night having a difficult time sleeping, and not because of any specific things going on, but because of the amount of stress and anxiety of where I'm at in life right now. Because things are going good for me, and that's really uncomfortable. So this insecurity kind of even says, if I open my heart up, if I step more into my passion, if I move more into my dreams, I'm going to get hurt. And there's kind of this sense of like helplessness or hopelessness in the insecurity card. So yeah, faith really is key. And it's interesting because the oracle card for this week in dealing with insecurity is the gift. And there's these soft purple colors and this white light and kind of these ancestors up there. There's this owl, like a snow owl, which can see through the darkness. And there's even this kind of ancestor above the snow owl. And there's this hand that is opening up and holding this gem. There's kind of these light blues and purples. So it's kind of like throat chakra, third eye chakra, crown chakra element in this. And the gift to me is saying, knowing that we're supported, knowing that we're loved, knowing that things will be okay, but having to get out of our own minds in the sense of overcoming this fear and insecurity. And I don't mean getting out of our minds in the sense of using chemicals or running from things. Ironically enough, in the astrology report coming up, this is Pisces season, and the astrologist Raquel Reyes kind of touched on a lot of people maybe wanting to turn to substances. And this is a time when we're being called to really do a lot of inner work if we're in a space to take a deep dive into our emotions. And it's really, really, really uncomfortable right now. I've had a lot of instances of people trying to manufacture my consent for circumstances, and just really stepping into no, and then having to heal my ability to even say no to people and have them be resistant to it because that was stripped from me. But knowing that I'm okay in saying no, I don't have to agree with everybody. It's okay for me to have a different opinion. And it's okay to kind of not necessarily feel so secure, because in the grand scheme of things, I am secure. Helen Keller said something, that any security in our society is really an illusion, and I'm paraphrasing what she said. And the gift is kind of knowing that, and knowing that we can be okay regardless. And I've talked about this before, maybe on the podcast or maybe in some writing, maybe even in a tarot reading. But Gordon White of the Rune Soup podcast, in his book Chaos Protocols, talks about becoming invincible. And when we kind of have this awareness that on a soul level we're invincible and we're going to be all right regardless, well, it should never minimize the suffering of somebody else, and you should never use it to minimize where somebody else is at. It's a really great asset to use to gain more clarity and perspective on your own life. And transitioning from the gift, we move to this Rumi Oracle card, and it says you'll only enjoy the city and your relations after enduring the grief and ordeals of exile. So for me, a lot of the insecurity and stuff that I'm facing is relative to not feeling a part of the group, not feeling heard, not feeling listened to. And I was listening to something, actually, I think it was Rune Soup yet again, and they talked about how accountability is part of feeling a part of. And then also, I want to say, too, that feeling heard and having your needs understood and respected. And it's very difficult for me because I don't find that often in community. And I'm not trying to put myself up on a pedestal. I say this with the utmost humility and respect and understanding that a lot of people haven't necessarily done some of the same amount of self-work I've done. Like, I looked at my second set of step work that I've done, and I have over 100 some pages written about processing my life experience. I'm writing my second book, which is all about my life experience. So like, I'm really getting intimate in the nooks and crannies of my life. And it's very difficult to have a conversation with a lot of people because of that. And you would think that really getting intimate with yourself on a deep level could lead you to a deeper connection with everybody. But there's a certain level of perceptivity there, and maybe I'm just not there yet, but I think that the beauty of this is, after enduring the grief and ordeals of exile, like, that's when I get to really embrace good people when I meet them, and people that are where I'm at. And one last thing I'll say on this card, I was reading Carlos Castaneda's Journey to Ixtlan yesterday, and I finished it, and at the end of the book, there's kind of this metaphor of we're always on this journey to Ixtlan, and that there's all of these apparitions that we meet along the way, and there's not many like solid people that aren't apparitions. But for me, this speaks of when I finally meet those people that get me and understand me, that we're going to feel this great sense of relief. So in regards to everybody else, we may feel very insecure this whole month. The gift is knowing that we're going to be okay. And then ultimately, after enduring all of this with a gift in mind, when we really, really connect with some like-minded people, there's a huge gift in all of that. And with that, I'm going to get into the cards for this week. So first off, you have 20. This is kind of the rebirth card. It's the card that comes right before the world. And if you look at this, this is this kind of like woody creature covered in vines bursting out of the earth under the moon. So the moon is a symbol of kind of this light in the darkness, revealing the illusion. And there's been a lot of illusion being revealed for me lately, and it may continue into the next week. And with it being new moon, you might be all wrapped up in the illusion. You might not be able to see everything yet, but it's going to begin this birthing process as the moon begins to fill up. The other element of this card is the green. So again, green is relative to the heart chakra. There's kind of this heart chakra bursting out of the earth, really getting out of being so tied down to everything. And then there's these rocks jutting out of there, which is the stability of our foundation at this point. Because if we've really been doing the inner work and we really take this week as a call to action, it's based upon the stability of ourselves. And then if you look at the starry sky behind the moon and behind everything else, that's the sense of destiny pulling us forward. There's an ancient up there playing a horn. So that's kind of the call of the ancestors asking you to do this work. And then there is the Amanita muscaria mushroom, or fly agaric, at the base of this tree person. Fly agaric is like a symbol of the Fae in some cultures. It's definitely associated with kind of fantasy for obvious reasons. If you know about the supposed psychoactive properties of it, I should say. It's not one that I've ingested personally. But mushrooms are also really about transformation. They're about taking this decaying matter and making it into something new. And that's also a really good symbol for just how we are all connected overall. On another level, there's kind of this, I want to say that there's scientific evidence for it, that all the trees communicate through this mycelial network that runs through the earth. So there's this deep sense of community continuity and communication associated with it. So while this time of insecurity and disconnection from a lot of people is very painful, when we begin to tap into the spirit realm, into our ancestors, into the higher levels of everything, we begin to get this spiritual sustenance that can lead us to finding those things in new life as we are kind of birthed from it. Then we transition into the Nine of Stones. So stones is all about emotions, and this card, I want to say it's called Balance, but there's this monk meditating, and there's these kind of air ripples underneath him. So air in tarot, again, is relative to thoughts, and it kind of shows him over his thoughts not being controlled. And there's also this concept of, there's these stones in the card. And like I said, stones in this deck is tied to cups, and cups are water, which is emotions. And to me, this is like he's able to be in his emotions, but there's still this sense of peace. And it's kind of like he's meditating on his emotions and letting himself sit in it. And even last night, as I had this like flood of anxiety and stress and everything, just really, really getting comfortable with it, with being uncomfortable and saying, I don't need to change these emotions. I don't need to do anything differently. What are these emotions telling me? And then actually even implementing meditation and going through and doing yoga nidra and calming myself down, letting myself find my center, and using some of these tools that I've cultivated has been essential. And that's part of the gift too, is like, by continuing this practice and building up faith in my capacity to calm myself down, I'm able to calm myself down because I don't feed into it. And then finally we come to the Nine of Bows. Bows in this deck is relative to swords in traditional tarot. And there's this figure who kind of feels completely isolated in this decaying world, and this mother spirit is reaching out to them. And again, it ties back into connecting with what we believe, connecting with the universe, connecting with our higher power, and really allowing it to help us. We aren't alone. We don't have to take this stuff on by ourselves. We are all divinely connected when we choose to participate in it, and it's just allowing ourselves to really be there. So two of these cards have these isolated individuals, and then the rest of the cards kind of really have these other people in there. So this is a time to maybe begin searching for your tribe. In the words of Timothy Leary, find the others. And I think that that's something that we really, really, really need to do. There's other people like us. Sometimes we have to get right with ourselves before we can find them. Sometimes we have to find those people to get right with ourselves. Most often, it's a matter of finding those people and getting right with ourselves, and then finding more people and getting more right with ourselves. All of us have a piece of each other's puzzle, and we can't solve our own riddles if we're always isolated. So tap into spirit if you have that. If you don't have community, tap into spirit. If you have community, tap into community. If you have both, rely on both. Things will work themselves out. It may be a difficult month if you resonate with the insecurity aspect of it, but the beauty is that when we come out of this insecurity aspect of everything, we are going to be stronger, more fortified individuals. I hope that this helped you. Have a blessed week. Peace. Thanks for listening to the show, Phoenix family. Just a reminder, we are fan-funded, and you can contribute with the link in the show notes. Other ways to support the show include leaving excellent reviews wherever possible, subscribing to our YouTube channel, engaging with our content on social media, sending me an email, or reaching out via voice message through the Anchor app. Your support is greatly appreciated. Much love and synchronicity. Peace.